Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the study session for February 14th, 2023, commonly known as Valentine's Day, to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Yes, Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Vice Secretary Robert Uten,
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry,
Here.
Vice President Arlene Schaefer,
Here.
President Michael Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public comments, the time set aside for folks who would like to speak on items within our jurisdiction, not listed on the agenda, to have 4 minutes to speak. Anybody wishing to speak? Do we have any correspondence or any?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll jump right to items of study and go to item number 1, the code enforcement report. Mr. Griffin, you're on.
Good morning, President Schaefer, members of the board. I'm here to present our report for the month of January. This report summarizes major points for 3 ordinance enforcement topics covering scavenging, graffiti, and trash container enforcement. For the month of January, the CMSD interim code enforcement officer focused his efforts on patrol in various parts of the community. And the goal is to identify and deter instances of scavenging and residential trash carts left within public view. In the month of January, the district saw a number of complaints filed with the CMSD interim code enforcement staff regarding scavenging activity in the city. As with most scavenging complaints, the alleged violations take place in the early morning hours. In order to address resident concerns, the interim code enforcement officer is patrolling by 6:30 a.m. Below are instances of scavenging that were detected while the officer was investigating specific complaints. The month of January, I caught 5 scavengers in the city. Bumped up a little bit, but these were all first contacts. Haven't seen these people before in the past. Any questions on that so far?
Weather having any effect on scavenging? Colder weather, are you seeing less incidents of that?
I'm assuming, especially on, like rainy days, not a lot of contact on those days. Trash container enforcement. In the month of January, there were a few customer complaints noted, but to the district headquarters regarding trash carts in public view. The following are the list of locations where trash cart violations were found and addressed by the courtesy notice process. In the month of January, 107 cases noted by the streets below. Any questions on that? Yes, sir.
David, when you issue a courtesy notice, is compliance generally achieved?
Absolutely. Everyone is adhering to our ordinance pretty much after the first violation notice. I have a few, repeat offenders, but it seems like they're good for about a month and then they go back to their old ways. So, but it has seemed to be,
It is effective.
certain areas of the city.
Other questions for David? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the report. Okay, let's go to item 2.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Nabil Guzman will give this report.
Good morning, President Schaefer, members of the board. Annually, the district, in partnership with CR&R, collects Christmas trees for recycling for approximately 2 weeks after Christmas Day. This year, staff is happy to report that a significant positive increase in collection and reliability efforts from CR&R. During the collection period from December 26th to January 6th, staff only received 2 missed collection complaints, a 192% decrease from 2021, where 101 complaints were received. In 2021, collection delays were so significant that collection efforts stretched from after Christmas Day 2020 through February 28, 2021. This year, CR&R was adequately staffed to meet the demand for this program and even collected trees for an additional week through January 13th to lessen the burden on CMSD's third caller. This year, CRNR collected 6,130 trees, or 60.74 tons. Per direction from the board of directors, the district contracted with a third-party hauler, John Smiths, to assist with supplemental collection of trees. The contractor was not utilized until after the 2-week run with CRNR, as staff received comments from the public that they would not be removing their Christmas tree until after the 6th, when CRNR's collection would be over. From January 9th through 18th, CMSU received 38 missed Christmas tree requests, and we sent our third-party hauler out there to collect them. Staff is recommending adjusting the collection dates future years for 2 weeks after New Year's Day instead of beginning on Christmas Day. This amendment was recently made on CRNR's amendment approved by the board last month. In your staff report, staff included a graph showing the third party's haulers collection efforts. Jen Smith collected a total of 51 trees from 42 homes. And an additional 40 homes had a tree up for collection, but CRNR collected it before our third-party hauler arrived. CMSD compensated Jen Smiths for their time and fuel at a reduced cost for the homes visited, and a total of $2,485 were spent on the third hauler for their collection efforts. This concludes my report. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
The contractor, CRNR picks up the trees during that 2-week period. Do they provide I guess my question is, courtesy notices seem to work well with missed trash pickups. And then I don't know if it'd be worth it to develop a courtesy notice that CRNR would hand out to the resident, to explain the process, because he obviously either didn't cut off the stand, or they didn't take the wrapper off, or whatever. I don't know if it's worth it. This is not very much money to pay, for pickup. And my question to CRNR is 2 weeks the normal period that, your 35 different customer entities, or however many are, is that the typical pickup time for CRNR?
That's the most common pickup window. Some municipalities have 3 weeks, and some cities also have a 1 weekend where residents can drop off Christmas trees at a designated location.
Oh. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
But I'm assuming that CNR is not going to start until their start date. They're not going to start right after Christmas and pick up trees. You're going to start at the new start date. Is that correct?
Correct. For Christmas 2023, they will start the day after, or the first business day after New Year's Day. I don't have a calendar in front of me.
We have to let the public know then that's the new dates on the pickup, because they're going to be out there early. That's the problem.
Yeah, so as a follow-up to that, on the new dates, the day after, let's just say January 2nd is the next business day. So that it will go for 2 weeks from that point. I'm just worried about the people who, like my wife and I, like the next day after Christmas, the house is spotless. So could those people potentially in whatever neighborhood have their tree out there for up to 2 weeks then?
Correct. And looking at we're waiting on wait tickets for the month of December and January, but not a lot of trees were set out for our residents during that week between Christmas and New Year's. CRNR did very, very little pickups. It was heard, the program is not utilized. We did not see a jump or a increase in requests until the week after New Year's.
Okay.
And then the more significant after January 6th.
Just a thought, I think, to kind of help with that portion of that week that there's no tree pickup. I think part of our message to the public really should include, if you need to get your tree gone before we start picking them up, please cut them up and put them in your organics. I think that's a solution that we could use as part of our message.
That is one solution that we can definitely, it's a great solution. We will definitely include that in our outreach. another solution is we can bring back a third-party contractor and pick it up during that week. You know, we can have residents call us, hey, I put my tree out, and, you know, and that can happen any day, and we can send them out there and pick it up. His fee was pretty nominal. So,
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like the idea, but
It's more private.
I'm not taking the chainsaw. I've got enough stuff to deal with.
I do believe we will get some people that are routinely, that, hey, after Christmas, season's over, all right, I'm taking everything down, I don't want anything out of the house. And so there's no destruction of service. I think that's a good, kind of a way to, enhance the program, is having that third party.
I also think that one of the things could be, you know, we, for that first week, and maybe the logistics of this are too complicated, but we have a central site where people can bring their trees. Say we do it at a school, or we do it someplace and we make a donation to that school to allow people to put their tree. We work something out with CRNR to go to that one spot. I don't know, there's a lot of ways I think.
Yeah, the only problem with the schools is it's just really hard to get permission.
I know,
It's one teach a lot of
I've
it.
lived there before. I've lived there.
Plus, if you live on one side of the town, you're not gonna take it over to.
Yeah.
I had one.
Yeah, go.
One additional, so this, I mean, great stuff. This was a thorn in all of our sides for the last couple of years, so great work this year. What was the main reason for the drastic improvement? I mean, you mentioned staffing, I assume that's the main thing, but were there any other things done a little bit differently?
I would let Mike answer that question.
We did have a dedicated Costa Mesa team, scouring every single route, every single trash day. As mentioned, that first week, especially the first Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday following Christmas, I think we collected less than a dozen trees on those first 3 days, but we did have a dedicated route and a route manager following up on that route to scour those neighborhoods. We did also have, provided by the district, tags for people that did have their stands still on the tree, or decorations, or flock trees.
Okay.
I think you also have to take into consideration third-party contractor, because we were upfront with CNR, said, hey, look, if they're mess, we're gonna send those costs back to you, and that hits the pocketbook.
Yeah.
So I think that was also a significant factor.
And going forward, we're gonna continue that, and if we want to have that third party option, I like the idea of, like, for those weirdos like my house. Yeah, we could call it in and say, hey, do a special pickup on my street.
Yeah.
I just, those things, by that point, the trees are like kindling for a fire, and it always just worries me.
Yeah.
So that's great stuff. Thank you guys very much.
I wonder if
Oh,
it
you don't
wouldn't
need-
help if we have a flyer at each place where trees are sold. There's not that many trees selling in Costa Mesa, so you wouldn't need that many flyers. But at the same time, it would indicate what you're saying, you know, just kind of points.
I think, all you have to do is take it to Home Depot. I mean, that seems to be, and Newton's, who's been here
Well, even
since,
on Fairview,
yeah,
you
the
know,
place in the
that's a hot one. You know, so there are places that, you know, I think it'd be worth it, because then they notice it.
Yeah, the main comment I want to make is, was 192% change.
Decrease
Yeah,
in complaints.
you know, just the word CRR is thank you. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. And I know we are, like Brett said, it was pretty contentious last year, and this year, it's all happy and good. So thanks to CRNR for, and if it took sticking a gun at your head with the fees, so be it. I mean, at least you respond. So anyway, you pass that on to the bosses.
Certainly, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nabil. Good report. Let's move to item 3, the SSNP.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So last month, the board received a report from the EEC on their findings on the internal audit of our sewer system management plan, which is required by state law to do an audit of our SSNP to ensure it's consistent in compliance with the law and the requirements we have to do to comply with the waste discharge requirements. As you know, the good news is that EEC only found one minor non-conformance, which I did report to the board. That is the fewest non-compliance ever since I've been here in the past, 12 years. So that was great. So in addition to that one non-compliance point, EEC did recommend several enhanced actions. Again, these aren't required by the WER, but it was something that EEC suggested it would enhance our standings in our plan. And so before you today is an implementation plan that includes the correction of a non-conformance issue along with the 8 enhanced action plans that were recommended by EEC. Before I do receive board comment, I do want to mention a couple of revisions to that attachment report to you. One, on number 3, on the enhanced action, update the storm drain system maps to make them more user-friendly. The latest news on that is that we did reach out to the city of Costa Mesa. As you know, they are in the process of updating the sewer master plan. They did send us their draft revised atlas of the storm drain, and it is a significant improvement, but it's just not very accurate at this time. So they want to make very clear it's just a draft form. And I received word from the city engineer that they're probably looking about another year until they adopt that plan. They still have to refine the map. They still have to get public comments and then go to the city council for adoption. So I'd like to move that completion date back 1 year to 12/31/24. So the good news is that, yes, they're making progress. It looks promising. I think these maps can be a great help for us, but they're just not there yet. So I want to push that back to 12/31/24 as completion date. And then also at number 5, conduct periodic SSO simulation training at the district yard or other facilities. Director Uten suggested we change the word conduct, but instead put develop a plan for periodic SSO simulation training. So again, I'd like to hear the board's comment on that. And then lastly, on number 6, conduct emergency bypass training for all lift stations. Just a reminder, there's several lift stations that have permanent bypass equipment there, so we don't need that training on that protocol. But we can also do classroom style trainings if we want to increase that. I know I've put in here once a year for the next 3 years. And the reason I put 3 years is because that's the next time we do the audits in 3 years. So we can also, so if we want to increase more than 3, we can do classroom settings, but doing bypass training on the lift station takes a lot of planning, a lot of coordination. And that's why I think 1 a year is sufficient. But if we want to do more, we have to do classroom training, and I can add it on this plan. After I receive comments from the board, I'll make some revisions to it. And then we will include this in CWIX along with our audit and our SSMP, which is required by the new reissuance of the WDR. So that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have one quick question on number 3, that as they update the drain system map, we've traditionally had hotspots that we look at. Does the city have, or as part of that map, they identify what I would think are hotspots, the major areas in Costa Mesa that have flooding issues? I mean, all of us drive around town. I can name 3 or 4 places I know are always flooded. Do they identify that as part
Yeah,
of
they
the
do. And we have those maps that we know are significant flooding areas, and we know those maps where the manholes are. So we know those manholes need to be plugged and sealed. We have those maps.
Okay.
That's not a problem. Yeah, they
Okay.
do recognize that.
Is that part of the SSMP?
No,
Yes, or-
no, it's not.
It should be part of their.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
That might, they do what's called a strategic plan to identify places where water is 6 inches over the curb or whatever. So the strategic, I think Mark and staff have the strategic plan.
Okay.
That's where they get that information.
I know, I mean, Anaheim and 18th Street, there's Pomona and 17th Street, there's Geisler, all along Geisler. The city must know, because especially like the one down on Pomona and 17th Street, they put a big sign, they've gone to using signs this area. And I think they just started that, so they are pretty much aware of where they should be aware.
Well, they've been aware forever, they've just done part of the plan.
Exactly, yeah, exactly, okay.
Scott, read back what Bob had suggested on number 5.
So number 5, it would swap out that word, it says conduct, and replace it with develop a plan.
Well, can't you develop a plan and conduct? Would that be better?
Well, the plan will tell them what to do.
I know, but we still want them to conduct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that'd be.
Okay.
Well, that, yeah.
It's really develop a plan and conduct. Okay, sure.
On number 8, I would suggest, you know, an ounce of planning is worth a pound of cure. And the plan, the development of a plan will tell the staff what they have to do, and it tells the board what they have to do, what staff has to do, instead of staff always thinking, you know, I'm going into a board meeting and, you know, is Susan going to ask this question about why this is not done or what is being done. Number 8 also, I think, at least it's an education item, maybe put it on a future study session. You know, I'd like to know what and when and how much effort we have to put into residential fog-related enhanced maintenance locations. This has been an item that has been of interest to staff for a long time, and they probably are doing stuff, but I don't think we know, at least I don't. I would like to know more about how important this is and how it's to be done.
Questions? Okay, anything else, Scott?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to our action item number 4. Is Alan's with us, right? Does Alan have anything to add? I don't know if you can hear me, Alan, but do you have anything to add to the situation with the resolutions? There's nothing to add.
Oh, go again, Alan. Sorry.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me, Mr. President?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to know if you had any updates or anything to add to the monthly procedure with the Brown Act meetings.
Oh, no, February 28th is the magic date, so, you know, we'll all be live then.
Okay, thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Can you talk more about the alternative actions? As a possibility?
Alan, can you please speak to the alternative actions?
You mean if you need to miss a meeting under the new law?
Yes.
Well, you'll have to have an excuse. The majority will still, the quorum will still need to be present and in the physical location where you are. And then you'll have to have an excuse such as you're on travel for business related to the agency, or you have an illness, or maybe your family member has an illness, but it will have to be identified and read into the record without divulging what the illness is. And so one of you could miss and under those grounds and still participate as long as the quorum continued to do the business at the physical location. I don't know if that's enough to help you today or not.
Yeah, that helps me a lot. But if we approve the ordinance, this still.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble picking up those microphones.
Speak louder.
Okay, does us approving the ordinance in front of us consider these alternative actions?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Director Perry. Could you say that one more time?
So by approving the resolution before us, does that include the alternative actions?
The resolution just covers us to February 28th. After that, we can no longer do. I assume we just put a standard resolution in there. I didn't even see the resolution, but it's just to get us through February 28th. And after that, we're back on a new system, which does not require resolutions to implement it. It's in place already by state law, by the code.
Okay, thank you.
This is just an interim stuff. Yeah, to get us to the end.
I know, but part of his thing is,
Except that I'm sure they'll change it.
because he says do not adopt resolution that feeds under standard grant acquisition provisions, that's why.
Yeah.
Need a motion.
Because we could have adopted that and said, nah, we're not gonna follow this remote meeting. That's what the alternative
That's,
is. That.
yeah. Exactly.
And on February 28th, we won't need to do this again, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the resolution to continue the remote meeting ordinance.
I'll second
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to consider adopting the motion to adopt resolution 2023 9-980 is approved unanimously. Okay, takes us then to oral communications and director comments. I'll kick it off. Once again, folks, this is outstanding. I mean, there is the information that needs to be disseminated, and it's not flowery, it's not all over the place, it's to the point. Thank you, this is really good. I mean, you guys should open up your own business.
I do want to say that Angela had put that together.
I'm sorry?
Angela Kalunga, she had put that together for the board.
Fantastic, really is good, so thank you. Other than that, happy Valentine's Day to Scott and Mark. And wow, to the rest of you, I'm not done. To the rest of you, an even better happy now.
Thank you.
Robert.
As a future item, and maybe this will be covered in the budget, the Eldon Force Main financing options probably need to be somewhat clarified. Will that be done in this budget?
Probably not, until we know for sure how much it's gonna cost and, we get from the engineering side, we don't, no.
Yeah, we know that it's more than the new fees.
Right, yeah. I mean, it'll be budgeted for, the design will be budgeted, but, as far as financing the construction part, we wanna wait a little, see what the cost gonna be, and then we come back to the board and some options.
And I'd like to congratulate the staff. I'm finally figuring out how to use the pail rather than deli containers. So I would entertain a video of me using that pail.
Small fee.
I can't believe you have food left over. Knowing you, I can't believe there's any food left over to put in the pan.
I don't eat banana rinds or vegetables, I mean.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
We're still recording this meeting.
Listen, it's 8:30 in the morning, come on. Just it's kind of, we had the pleasure of my brother-in-law staying with us over the weekend, and he's from Sedona, Arizona. He was blown away by what we do. I mean, think about Sedona, Arizona, which is probably the most progressive town in America. I mean, they don't even let McDonald's put up golden arches. They have aqua arches, right? And he was just blown away by what we do with the AD, with the organic stuff. So we pretty much are ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. Thank you.
That's what you spent your weekend doing, was taking him a tour of. Davis facility.
No, I spent Sunday watching State Farm Stadium. Hey, no, I can't afford it. Anything else? Staff, anything else? All right. Then we'll adjourn to our board meeting, and thank you all very much. Good luck with the AV stuff.
Thank you.